Welcome to Mass Maker by Jane Johnson. I'd like to thank Scholastic Publishers for allowing us to read this brilliant book. And we're on chapter 6, An Extraordinary Gift. There, together, she found him. Jamie felt a confusion of emotions rush through him. The first was relief that his father was still alive. The second was jealousy that he and Cadence were together. Then sorrow that he and his mother had been left behind. And how was it that his father had been gone for a year, yet not so far that his sister had been able to find him in less than a day? There was also the briefest stab of anger that he had wasted a question. If only he had looked just that bit more carefully when the pearl had shown him his sister. And he still didn't really know where they were. Tears of frustration pricked Jamie's eyes, and when he took his hands from the pearl to rub them away, he found he couldn't because of the mask. All of a sudden he wanted to take it off and jump on it till it was just a squashed plastic mess, the rubbishy thing that it had seemed to be on the mask maker's shelves. He wanted to be away from here, away from the dragon and its horrible pearl, away from magic and nonsense. He just wanted his family back the way they used to be before everything in Corstock went wrong. Time cannot be turned, the dragon said sadly. Having existed over 3,000 years, that I know. The world turns, then turns again. Only when there is no road left can one feel true despair. I haven't the faintest idea what you're on about, Jamie said crossly. Everything's spoiled, everything's wrong, and I don't understand any of it. Then you must the cause find. Once you know the cause, the problem you will know. Once the problem you know, the solution you may find. I'm just a boy, Jamie said. You are a boy, but quite a special boy, think I. Jamie did not feel special. He felt tired and worried and hopeless. To think that only a few weeks ago he thought that Mouth and Michael Rose were the worst problems in his life. The pearl had raised more questions than it had answered. But at least he had found Ginny, and the dragon had said they could leave. That was at least a small victory in the face of so much confusion and strangeness. He turned away, head down. What are you doing? The dragon demanded. I'm going home. Wait. He turned back reluctantly to find the heavenly dragon holding out the pearl. This will you need for what you must do next. Jamie was taken completely by surprise. He stared at the dragon in confusion. And what is that? Why, save your world, the heavenly dragon said, as if it was the only answer there could be. You see, Jamie, their dual enemies at play are white and black, day and night, female and male, heaven and earth, yin and yang, these energies, at one and the same time complementary, are in opposition to one another. They must in balance be kept, or all is lost. None of this made much sense to Jamie. He had very little idea what it had to do with trying to get his family back together. He watched as colours swirled in the pearl until at last just stark black and white came to the surface, forming a symbol that looked to Jamie rather like a black tadpole entwined with its white twin. The pair combining to make a single harmonious circle. If closely you look, you will see that each of the energies contains an element or seed of the other. And indeed, when Jamie looked, he saw that each tadpole had an eye of the other colour. They so closely allied are that one cannot, without the other, exist. Yet sometimes they try to pull apart, and at the worst of times, to destroy one another. That cannot be allowed to happen, and perhaps, just perhaps, you are the one in this time and circumstance to prevent it. I am. The heavenly dragon regarded him kindly. The peril tells me you are a bringer of light, a maker of laughter. That the best gift in the world can be. Perspective it gives on life's problems. Tell me one of your jokes, Jamie Wave, and then you may be on your way. You want me to tell you a joke? Seeing his father with cadence in the pearl had rather caused him a sense of humour failure, and the stuff about the balance of energies in the world had taxed him more than most of Mr. Hope's science classes. He didn't feel like a maker of laughter at all at the moment. No one has told me a joke in over 1,000 years, the dragon said sadly, and even that one not very amusing was. Jamie tried to think of something, anything funny, but his usually joke-filled brain was just not being cooperative. The ones that did eventually pop into his head weren't suitable, involving a knowledge of modern idioms and a sense of surrealism he suspected the dragon didn't possess. I met a Dutch girl with inflatable shoes last week. Phoned her up to arrange to go to the cinema, but unfortunately she'd popped her clogs. Not gonna work. What do bees do if they don't want to drive? They wait at the bus stop. No. What would amuse a 3,000-year-old dragon? At last, remembering what he'd seen in the pearl, he thought of something that would have to do. All right, he said, taking a deep breath. There's this vampire bat. Do you know what a vampire bat is? The heavenly dragon nodded. Okay, one night this vampire bat comes flying back to his cave after a night of hunting, and he's covered in fresh blood. Worn out, he attaches himself to the roof by his claws, hangs upside down, and tries to get some sleep. But within moments, all the other bats smell the blood on him and begin pestering him as to where he got it from. He's completely exhausted. He opens one eye and tells them to shut up and let him sleep. But they just won't stop. They're starving, they say. Haven't found anything worth biting all night. They keep on and on, hassling him until finally he gives in. Oh, all right, he says, follow me. So he flies out of the cave and they all fly after him. Hundreds and hundreds of vampire bats in a great black cloud. They swoop through the valley, across the plain, and into a huge, great forest of trees. They fly for miles and miles. At last he slows down and all the other bats flap around him excitedly. Do you see that tree over there? He asks. Yes, we do. And the bats all scream in frenzy. Well, I didn't. The dragon gazed at Jamie as if expecting more. Then the expression in its eyes changed as understanding dawned, and it stuffed its hands over its mouth. Little snuffles and chortles escaped between its claws. "One should not of others' misfortunes fun make," it said after a long while, "but it hard is not to laugh at such a tale. Now, put out your hands." Jamie did as he was told, and the dragon placed the pearl in them. It was heavier than he had expected. He almost dropped it, and as if it sensed this, the pearl shrank until it was the size of a cricket ball. "This I give to you. Do with it what you must." "I can't just take it." The heavenly dragon yawned and stretched. "It is my gift to you or we alone can call it, if it makes you feel better. All these years have I been bothered by thieves who come my peril to steal. Now I nothing have of value. I need no one fear, and at last I can take my rest." And with that it lay down and curled its tail around its nose, just like a cat about to take a nap. Soon after that, the air of the chamber of truth was filled with snores. Jamie gazed at the pearl of wisdom and everlasting light. He could not believe the dragon had given it to him, given it in exchange for a joke. It hadn't even been that good a joke. You could think of loads more now. They were crowding into his head, clamouring to get out. The one about the magician and the parrot, for example. He couldn't help but smile. "Come on," said a voice behind Jamie. "It's time to go back." He turned to see a pair of orange eyes regarding him in the gloom. It was Jasper. Jamie stowed the pearl safely away in a pocket. He had absolutely no idea what he was going to do with it, but he wasn't going to admit that to the cat. They found Ginny outside by the pillar on which she had stood, transformed by the dragon into a bronze lion. When she saw Jamie coming, she rushed over to him and gave him a hug. Their masks knocked together awkwardly, and they laughed. "You came to save me. You are a true friend," Jamie waved. "Come on," he said, grabbing her hand. "Let's go home." He turned to look for the cat to lead them out of the lake. "I know what you've been thinking about me," Jasper said quietly. "And some of it's true. I was her servant, but I work for another now. You have to trust me. I will explain it all if we survive." "If we survive?" Jamie echoed. "I can't imagine she will be too happy that you're not going to give her the pearl." "I'm not." Until that moment, Jamie Wave hadn't even realised he'd made a decision, but the cat was right. He wasn't going to give the pearl of wisdom and everlasting life to Miss Lambert. Whether it was the magic of the pearl he carried or the aid of the sleeping dragon, Jamie didn't know. But within moments of wishing they were back at the willow tree by the edge of the lake, whence he and Jasper had entered this world, there they were, and not even wet, which seemed like the oddest thing of all. The black cat stood beside the tree. "Ready?" he said, and taking a leap, disappeared into nothing. Ginny gasped. "Where's he gone?" "Back to the mask maker shop, and it's where we're going too." I don't understand." Ginny's voice sounded small and lost from inside the lion mask. "I don't understand any of this. I must be dreaming. It all started as such a logical dream too. When you didn't turn up at the pizza shack, I told Mum I was going to the loo and sneaked out to look for you because I found a card for a place called the Mask Maker that fell out of your pocket. It wasn't far to May Street, and I ran all the way, thinking you might have forgotten the time. But when I got there, all I found was our art teacher, Miss Lambert, and she stuck something on my head and pushed me through a mirror. And then I fell through dark space and landed in China, and it was hundreds of years ago, and there was a dragon. It all sounds mad." Jamie bit his lip. It's probably best not to think too much about it. One of my aunties went a bit mad. They found her skipping down the dual carriageway in her nightie in the middle of the night, and when the police stopped her, she said she was off to join the Pied Piper of Hamelin along with all the other children. Madness can be inherited, can't it? Honestly, Ginny, you're the least mad person I know. He got her to stand behind him with her arms around his waist. Whatever happens, don't let go. After a horrible, surging, falling sensation, they seemed to go on forever, but probably only lasted seconds. They tumbled in a tangle of the carpeted floor of the little room at the back of the mask maker's shop. Jasper was waiting for them. He looked scared. Don't worry, Jamie said. You don't need to be involved when I tell Miss Lambert she can't have the pearl. Even as he said this, he half expected her to leap shrieking through the door with her toffee gold eyes sparking and her hands like claws. But there was the silence until Jasper said very softly, I think you'd better come and see this. What is he going to show them? Chapter 26, An Extraordinary Gift. Come back when we have chapter 27 coming really soon.